If true crime intrigues you, you're in the right place. We are exploring crime stories that are shaking up the news. Season 1 of Left Undone is following the Lori Vallow Daybell case. Lori Vallow is a mother with 2 missing children. She has joined a doomsday cult, and people close to Lori are dying untimely deaths. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you follow us on YouTube. And if you are following on the podcast platform, please rate and comment. Welcome to an episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn.
Welcome to an episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations, Part 47. This one is a theory video, but it's actually quite interesting and it makes me raise my eyebrows quite a bit. Remember, recently we know that Lori bought a Malachite ring on Amazon for $35.99. Now, knowing Lori, this ring turned out to be her wedding ring, and they took pictures of it, and they have it as if it's just this grand ring, right? She bought it on October 2nd, 2019 on Amazon. Malachite is known to have poisonous properties if mixed with water or liquid of any kind. They say don't use it in the bathroom because of the steam. It can be dangerous. You also, if you breathe the, gemstone cutters and stuff, if they breathe in the air of the fragments of the malachite, it can actually be quite dangerous too and cause lifelong respiratory symptoms, if not death. One of my subscribers, who is awesome. My subscriber is a chemist. Okay, so my subscriber looked into this, and thank you so much for sending this to me. I appreciate it. She says, remember Tammy went to sleep coughing. Tammy went to sleep coughing and died. She says, I've attached some articles below, and I will go over those as well, about the symptoms of malachite poisoning. It causes flu-like symptoms. When malachite comes in contact with water or liquid, it forms a poisonous liquid and gas. The symptoms mimic the flu, particularly coughing and breathing difficulties. It can be lethal. Malachite is also known in New Age and cult religions to have metaphysical properties. So Chad and Lori would be aware of the stone and possibly that it could be used for poisoning.
I saw things were being ordered from Amazon, and I thought, well, that's not right because, he's dead.
One of the purchases was a malachite gemstone ring for $35, shipped to her new Rexburg, Idaho address. And in this...
So let's allege for a minute that that is the point of this ring, that it was used to poison Tammy. If it's combined with nicotine, it forms a sweet saccharine flavor, which can be mistaken for sugar. So if Chad put the ring in a cup of tea and gave it to Tammy and said, here, have some tea, and she drank it that evening, it could account for her symptoms of coughing and dying. If Tammy would have found the ring, she says, if you think about this, if Tammy would have found the ring at the bottom of the teacup, Chad would have just said, oh, as a present for you. I bought you a ring, sweet, darling wife of 30 years. Aren't I nice, husband? I bought you a pretty malachite ring. So he could say it was a gift, right? And he intended for her to find it when she finished the cup.
This is going to be a fun one. We love malachite.
Yes.
It's an intense stone. And we've had 2 or 3 different questions come in about malachite. Mm-hmm. Like, what's up with malachite? It freaks me out. It just makes me feel weird, or it intensifies my emotions. Mm-hmm. And we're going to tell you why. Okay, first we should show them what malachite looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Don't put it in your mouth. You're not... Okay, number 1, do not ever put malachite in your mouth.
No.
Malachite is toxic. if it is not polished.
Yeah.
Okay.
Polished, not toxic.
Polished, it is fine, but
Unless you eat it, don't eat it.
in the unpolished form, it is toxic. You should never put malachite in your mouth, boys and girls. We're just gonna Malachite is a carbonate of copper. It can be found with azurite and chrysocolla, which are also carbonates of copper, which is why you find them like hanging out and growing together sometimes. It's okay to put it on your third eye. That's all right.
Just don't put it in your eye.
Yep.
There you go.
And it's associated with Archangel
Raphael,
who is the Archangel
the green guy.
of healing and love. The green dude, the green Power Ranger. Romans and the Greeks used malachite a lot because it was super cool. And the Egyptians...
who wouldn't?
Yeah, it's really beautiful. The Egyptians, okay, here's where we get into death by eyeshadow. Because it has these concentric circles and stuff, and it was kind of associated with wisdom and seeing beyond and intuition and clear sight. Mm-hmm. But in Egypt, the women would smash it up into a powder and use it for eyeshadow. Because it was supposed to... Eyeshadow goes up here, honey. On the top of that.
Here.
See, watch the geisha sample. Look at the geisha sample.
I don't know.
So they would put it on their eyeshadow because it would give them clear vision and intuition and mysticism, but it probably toxified them and gave them hallucinations.
That's why it gave them
and brain tumors.
Clear sight, because... Yeah.
So I'm not sure how clear it was.
That's why they only live to like 14.
You're putting toxic powder on your
your eyes. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of putting it into water, a lot of people like to make gem elixirs. I like to stay away from gem elixirs because you never know what you're putting in your water.
Right.
So one of the things about gem elixirs, if you don't know what it is people put gems in their water. And then they drink it to get the high vibration of the and there are some stones that you can do that with, but I would just, if you don't know enough about stones and toxicity of stones,
don't put random stones in your water.
Do it.
Malachite would be a very bad one to put in water.
I would stay away from it altogether. Some people will put the malachite in the water, in spring water, and then externally put it on there just to be safe. I don't think I would even do that because your skin's going to absorb. I don't know. You just don't know because some people are more sensitive than others. Most people are fine wearing it directly on their body in polished form. You should never wear it raw, and really you shouldn't touch it raw. If you have raw malachite, have it polished. Chances are you don't, because most crystal sellers are not going to sell it. They're only going to sell raw malachite.
We only have polished.
Yeah.
They will only sell raw malachite to their enemies.
Yeah, so sell raw malachite to your enemies. Tell them it's aventurine.
No, don't do that. That's evil.
And my subscriber is a chemist. Okay, so my subscriber looked into this, and thank you so much for sending this to me. I appreciate it. She says, remember Tammy went to sleep coughing and died. Tammy went to sleep coughing and died. She says, I've attached some articles below, and I will go over those as well, about the symptoms of malachite poisoning. It causes flu-like symptoms. When malachite comes in contact with water or liquid, it forms a poisonous liquid and gas. The symptoms mimic the flu, particularly coughing and breathing difficulties. It can be lethal. It's also known, malachite is also known in New Age and cult religions to have metaphysical properties. So Chad and Lori would be aware of the stone and possibly that it could be used for poisoning. So let's allege for a minute that that is the point of this ring, that it was used to poison Tammy. If it's combined with nicotine, it forms a sweet saccharine flavor, which can be mistaken for sugar. So if Chad put the ring in a cup of tea and gave it to Tammy and said, here, have some tea, and she drank it that evening, it could account for her symptoms of coughing and dying. If Tammy would have found the ring she says, if you think about this, if Tammy would have found the ring at the bottom of the teacup, Chad would have just said, oh, as a present for you. I bought you a ring, sweet darling wife of 30 years. Aren't I nice, husband? I bought you a pretty malachite ring. So he could say it was a gift, right? And he intended for her to find it when she finished the cup. If she didn't know it could poison her, she wouldn't think of anything of it, right? She wouldn't think of anything of it if she didn't know that malachite was poisoning and the ring could poison her. And most likely the medical examiner wouldn't test for it anyway, so that's probably why he was okay with her not being cremated and just, laid to rest.
Hi, I'm Heather Askinosi from Energy Muse, and today we're talking about malachite. I got attracted to malachite because I heard, being a Scorpio, that malachite is a great stone for Scorpios to work with. On my own journey, I realized, yeah, that's true, but I also feel that malachite's a stone that everyone should work with at some point in their life. The reason I love malachite is that although rose quartz is a stone of love and it's unconditional, it has this really kind of nurturing energy to it, malachite is also a stone of love. When I work with it for love, I'm able to go into deeper parts of myself of healing. Malachite, because of its movement and its texture, has this deeper energy to it where, okay, what are your fears? What are your worries? What are your insecurities? What are the things that are holding you back from truly loving? 3 simple ways of working with malachite are: 1, you want to place it over your heart for at least 11 minutes. Another thing is to just actually hold a piece of malachite in your hand and take a look at it. As you see, it has all this movement and contours. It reminds you that life is always moving, energy is always moving, and to not get stuck. I also like to often journal with malachite. I'll hold a piece of malachite in my hand and I will sit there and I will write down whatever I want to work through. I look at it as the malachite therapist. It helps me to really get honest, go deep quickly when I want to journal. A great way to clear and to purify the stone of malachite is putting it outside on the energy of the earth, putting it in soil. If you can't do that, ringing a bell over malachite. Malachite is not a stone that you want to put in water, and you definitely don't want to make elixirs out of malachite. I feel with malachite, a great affirmation is that I transform, shift, and evolve. And by saying these 3 words, we're able to tap into our greatest potential.
She goes on to say, if you think about Lori, she's very materialistic. We've seen proof of that. She's about money. We know that people have said that. People that know her have said that. So what materialistic woman would settle for a $37 ring? What materialistic woman would settle for a $35 ring when her husband just inherited a life insurance policy of $400,000 from his wife? So if you think about it, if none of this was planned and they just realized they were both widows and they decided to get married and we're going to get married 3 weeks after Tammy died, don't you think Chad would have went out and bought like an actual diamond ring for her? I do. I don't see Lori being okay with the $35.99 ring. So my subscriber who said this, her theory is that ring has some kind of symbolism or sentimental value. She also thinks that one more reason that the ring is symbolic or sentimental is Chad and Lori made a point of taking photos of that ring and posting them. It would be nothing special to most women, right? I even thought that when I saw that ring, I was like, that's her wedding ring? Really? Okay. Wow. Interesting. Thinking maybe she had a bigger, better one on order and it didn't get there. Most likely be mocked on social media. So who would post it? So that photo has real significance for them. One more piece of interesting information. She says, the day that JJ disappeared is the first anniversary of Chad and Lori meeting when they met at Preparing a People in Arizona. September 23rd, 2018 was when they met in Chandler, Arizona. Last day JJ was seen, September 23rd, 2019. Obviously another day that seems symbolic, right? So JJ disappeared on their first anniversary of their official relationship, I suppose. What if getting rid of JJ was her sacrifice to Chad? That ring then becomes a symbol of their mutual religious sacrifice to their gods. Remember, they're both holding themselves out to be gods. She points that out, you know. This isn't coming from me, but this is actually a really interesting theory, and I have to share it with you guys. They also believe the Lord returns for the 144,000 on July 22nd. She feels that's why Lori is so smug in her court appearance. She thinks she is going to become a co-god of her and Chad's world on that date, because this world will be destroyed. So she believes she will escape any judgment of this world, courts, prison, whatever. The person that came up with this theory did the research on Malachite and looked it up, and she's actually a chemist. So she found it interesting to do a little research on this. Now, there's an article I found on the website crystalhealingforwomen.com that talks about this. And in this article, it says Malachite precautions and dangers everyone should know. She says, today I want to address something and offer some words of advice. I see this picture going around on the internet via social media, Facebook and Instagram, and people be like, oh my God, I want this, I want this. Malachite is amazing, not only for its beauty. Now, this article has nothing to do with Chad and Lori. This is just an article about the dangers of malachite. Malachite is amazing not only for its beauty and for its metaphysical properties. Now remember, they're all into healing energy and all that kind of stuff too. So it makes sense for them to be about stones and energy things, right? However, malachite releases toxic fumes when it gets moist. So the bathroom is the worst place to place malachite because the moisture in the bathroom, right? Malachite is also another mineral that should never be used to make crystal elixirs or crystal water to be ingested. Great care must be exercised when working with malachite, as it's poisonous in its raw state. Many will say, well, in this bathroom it's polished, so it should be okay. And she says the answer is no, for the reasons explained above. So malachite is super safe to be used in many ways, with the exception of the two mentioned above. So please do your own research when using or working with crystals. And then this article just goes on. This isn't intended to scare you, but there are poisonous properties in a lot of stones, and people need to be aware of them when they're working with them. It can also be used for healing emotional issues. So this ring is known to have all these healing properties. So anybody with the belief system that Chad and Lori have would believe this stone has some kind of meaning for them, right? Healing, whatever. It says the high copper content of malachite makes it toxic. It makes it dangerous to mine, cut, or hand polish without proper protective equipment. It is quite toxic and should not be breathed, ingested, or left on skin surfaces. Malachite is a stone of balance, abundance, manifestation, and intention, an extremely powerful metaphysical stone. Malachite is often called the stone of transformation and is used for deep energy cleaning, bringing healing and positive transformation to the wearer. Malachite is amazing not only for its beauty, its metaphysical properties. However, malachite releases toxic fumes when it gets moist. From rockandgem.com, there's an article, and it points out this person that wrote the article, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, became interested in, the hobby of the stones and polishing them and all that stuff. But right after he started doing that, he started to experience a nasty and completely unexpected cavalcade of health problems: coughing, hoarseness, difficulty clearing his throat, breathlessness, and a dull ache in the pit of my lungs, he says. Of course, I had always worn safety glasses with side protection as recommended in every manual, but a mask seemed cumbersome. As the situation worsened, I tried several dust masks, but there was little improvement. It was time to do a little research. So I hit up the books and started talking to fellow rockhounds. It was a revelation. So, turns out rock dust can be deadly. A single heavy dose can cause crippling, lifelong problems. It attacks the lungs in a variety of ways. First, by coating the inner lining and blocking the transmission of oxygen into the bloodstream. Tiny, sharp fragments slice and cut into the alveoli, which coat the inner lining of the lungs, causing irritation, inflammation. Fresh dust seems to be more harmful because sharp edges have not had a chance to be softened by moisture. Some forms of rock dust are quite poisonous in themselves, whether it is inhaled, ingested, or contacted by exposed skin. The effects can be injurious to your health. He says, it goes on, and he names the worst offenders. The higher oxide of copper, which can cause damage to the endocrine and central nervous system. These minerals include some of the most colorful and treasured semi-precious stones. Turquoise, malachite is on there, and azurite. It shows some percentages of how much copper they have in them. Each rock has its own signature of impurities, and it's worth remembering that other closely related copper compounds are highly bioactive and have been used in pesticides, fungicides, wood preservatives for decades. This is dangerous material. These high copper rocks should not be licked to bring out the color, and oil mixed with the dust should be carefully cleaned off exposed skin. People who smoke have described their own novel tests for overexposure. Apparently, copper impregnated dust combines with nicotine and tobacco tar in a saliva to form a sickeningly sweet compound similar to saccharin. Another sign is influenza-type symptoms. The poisoning mimics the flu, causing headaches, coughing, sweating, sore throat, nausea, fever, and then skin and eye and respiratory tract irritation are also common, and the distinct metallic taste. Another one, the wellnessenterprise.com says, how do I know if my gemstones are toxic? It says using gemstones and water is an ancient holistic health modality based on the idea that the healing properties of gemstones are absorbed via water. Gem water advocates believe that gems enhance water, restoring water to a more natural, pure state. As a result of gem enhancement, you'll have improved vitality and overall well-being of the mind, body, and spirit. Putting one or more gemstones in water to create energy for a certain healing outcome is known as gem elixir or crystal elixir. And then it talks about the methods to make it. Toxic gem list. Here is a list of the most common toxic gems to put on your no list for adding water. It's not a comprehensive list. The gems on this list are considered toxic because they contain one or more of the following combinations that are harmful to the body: aluminum, copper, asbestos, zinc, mercury, or lead, or they consider poisonous or radioactive. Make sure you do your own homework before making your own gem water. And then it does list malachite, and it has this asterisk that it's a common stone. And then it just says there are other stones that can be toxic as well. So malachite is like, do not make gem water with malachite. So that's just a theory, but I thought it was quite interesting enough to make a podcast on it. Who knows, right? Who knows? I mean, who knows? But they have expressed the danger. She did buy a malachite ring. People are dropping like flies and dying. Speculation has been poisoning from the get-go. How are these people dying? And is it possible? Maybe it wasn't the ring. Maybe they had a rock of malachite. Maybe they used that, but the malachite ring is symbolic to them, because that Lori and Chad seem to leave hints everywhere they go. Nothing at this point surprises me. Nothing. Does anything surprise you? Nothing surprises me at this point. I could see this happening with them. They're so out there and they're so wackadoodled that I could see this happening. And for Tammy to go to bed coughing and die, is just very, very, very suspicious, obviously. That's why her body was exhumed. Thank you for watching another episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn.